Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Ashish Kakran. Ashish Kakran is a principal at Thomvest Ventures. Ashish has always been passionate about technology. Prior to joining Thomvest Ventures, Ashish supported founders in the cloud infrastructure space at Engineering Capital with product inputs following on financing and customer introductions through a CIO forum he built from scratch. His journey in venture capital started with internships at BGV and Canaan Partners. Ashish's experience includes spending over 3 years at AppNeta, a Bain Capital-backed startup where he managed TraceView, a distributed transaction tracing product that was acquired by SolarWinds in 2016. He also founded TWT Pulse and was a founding engineer at E. Jones Pulse, which used prediction market mechanics for sentiment analysis for customers like the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. Having been part of startups, ones that were successful and ones that were not, he has developed an eye for finding the combinations of problems, teams, and cultures that help companies be successful. Well, good afternoon, Ashish. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me here, and it's a pleasure to join you.
Absolutely. This is exciting. I get to do podcasts every single day, sometimes multiple times during the day. But what's really cool, and my audience hears this every single day, this is absolutely my favorite time that I get to embrace, get to hear your story, and then we get to share it together to our global audience. So thanks again. And we're going to jump right into the questions. Ashish, you've got quite the career in tech, venture capital, and now you're the principal at Thomvest Ventures. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Brian, I can say that, being open-minded to new and diverse opportunities has certainly helped me in my career. I grew up in India, and ever since I was little, I used to visualize myself running a company and someday creating jobs. So I started by, being a founding engineer at a startup, just as cloud was taking off in 2008. I was really lucky to have started my career in an area that was new and grew relevant over time. So there I became really curious about product management as a career path. And I took the sales engineering route to it. I developed deep appreciation of how SaaS businesses work. And in the process, the closer I was to customers, the more I could empathize with their problems. Once I became a product manager, I truly believed that was the best job possible. And my product TraceView was acquired by SolarWinds in 2016. It was at that point that I thought it was time for me to build my company. And I built a prototype and I decided to enroll at the Kellogg School of Management to leverage the network and the resources there. At Kellogg, I fell in love with venture capital, primarily on the early side of things. So for over a decade, what I've done is, I've spent evenings and weekends participating in hackathons, brainstorming business ideas with friends, and writing business plans. So as a VC, what I used to do outside of work hours is now my full-time job. And I get to work with founders and investors who are way smarter than myself, and I love it. So you can see that I took a lot of leaps that gave me great exposure to technology and helped me understand what I really want.
I love that story. That's awesome. I mean, you were jumped in it as an entrepreneur and kind of fell into the venture capital space and learned a lot. And now you do what you love. You can't find a more bliss than that. So that is simply amazing. Thank you so much, Ashish. So Ashish, moving into this pandemic, right? We hopefully we're getting out of this pandemic for the rest, hopefully for our lifetime, right? But what are your plans for growth going forward? And will it be any different than the last 15 months?
Yeah, so I would say that the pandemic really did not slow down the pace of innovation, but I would say that it actually accelerated things, at least on the cloud and security side, which is my area of focus at Thomvest Ventures. All of a sudden, when you have employees in distributed geographic locations, spread across multiple different time zones, it turned into a massive challenge for CIOs and CISOs. You have to protect your data, you have to secure communications, and you have to keep your teams productive. So what we saw was all of a sudden years of digital transformation was compressed into, matter of months. So that presented a massive opportunity for founders. So we were actively investing throughout the pandemic into innovative companies, companies like Harness and Uncork, among a few others. So within that, moving forward, an area of interest for me is, X as code, where you can replace X with things like infrastructure, security, policy, What's happening is with the emergence of microservices as the building blocks for applications, the provisioning, the configuration, and deployment across multi or hybrid cloud requires a high degree of automation. And such access code tools can really be a developer's best friends.
I love how you shared and we hear a lot of that through the pandemic of how people accelerated their innovation or digital transformation. But the fact that, the VC or venture capital industry was still thriving and moving forward to help companies not only pursue their dream, but help everybody get out of this pandemic. So that's awesome. Thank you. And so, Ashish, you're obviously leveraging some new and emerging technologies within your tech stack, or at least working with it on a daily basis somehow. Is there anything you might be able to share with us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think of the emerging areas of interest for us within the tech side of things, I think about data infrastructure a lot. So I used to build ETL pipelines for a marketing analytics company in Boston. We would get periodic data sets from our partners, and it was part of my job to write Perl and Python scripts to extract, transform, and load those data sets into our databases for analysis. But today, that problem is 100 times larger because of the velocity, variety, and volume of data. This has led to innovation, and what was ETL now looks more like ELT. So first load it in the databases, and then do the transformation in your data warehouse or data lake, right there in place. So I'm very interested in innovation within data infrastructure. And then adding on top of that, in terms of themes, I'm very interested in end-to-end pipelines, whether it's software pipelines when it comes to shipping code, or data pipelines when it comes to getting data ready for analysis, or machine learning pipelines to generate predictive insights from data. How do you automate and operationalize those pipelines? How do you chain multiple tools together in a programmatic and maybe in a no-code way? Those are interesting areas for me, and for those solving such problems, I'm happy to have a conversation.
Awesome. That's where, we talk about stuff here at Coruzant on this platform and this publication is those emerging trends and seeing what's coming out. So I appreciate you sharing that. So Ashish, last question here. Can you share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in tech or venture capital?
Absolutely. So Brian, I think most people already know, things like hard work and mentorship are important, but I'll share 3 things that I've learned. The first one is the importance of warmth and expertise. These 2 would really help you turn chance interactions into meaningful opportunities. Whenever possible, you want to help people, not with the intention of getting something back, but because you're genuinely interested in their well-being. And here, if you have an expertise in an area, that would really help you leave a lasting impression, whether it's meeting somebody in an elevator or at a conference or in your workplace. The second one would be, take time to network, no matter where you are in your career, not just when you're looking for a change. Best opportunities in venture or anywhere else are not posted on a job board. A lot of it is relationship based. So don't be afraid. If you go to an event of 100 people, if you can make 3 connections, it's a win. And then you can meet them later for coffee, ask them to introduce you to their friends. Worst thing that can happen is they would say no because they're busy, but that's okay. And the final thing I would say is learn the basic negotiation skills. I can't emphasize enough the importance of learning how to negotiate. Whether you want a new role for yourself or better compensation, or if you want to switch industries, I would say that there are not many hard rules other than the ones that we create for ourselves. Most things are negotiable. So yeah, I would say those are my biggest takeaways.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. And again, everybody on the show has something unique to share. And I certainly appreciate your perspective from someone that's in venture capital around technology startups. So this is just awesome. And I can't wait to get this podcast out. So Ashish, it was a pleasure having you on today. And I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Likewise, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Bye for now.